tuning in to another episode of Peace, Love, and Guns. We're going to be looking at a very special item today, so I hope you're going to enjoy today's episode. Comment, like, and subscribe. Wow! Hello, and welcome to another very special episode of Peace, Love, and Guns. Why is it special, you might ask? Well, because I'm going to be showing you one of my favorite things. This is a Luminox 1827 Field, and it's a beautiful timepiece, and we're going to crack into this box and take a look. This is going to be an extended use review. I've had this thing since, about 2013, so let's take a look. When you get the box, you got a little cardboard sleeve on there. Part of the reason I like these watches is because they're a little bit collectible. They all come in this nice, rigid box with a kind of faux carbon fiber finish to it. It feels good. This is kind of a soft plastic or a vinyl. It's got a nice Luminox logo, the little shield there, and the contrasting red. And when you open it up, this is what you get inside. You've got you've got a nice padded little pillow there for when your watch goes to sleep, and you got a little Luminox tag there with the serial number, rather the UPC code, and then the model of watch. In this case, it's an 1827 Field with an ivory dial on it, and a brown leather wristband. It sits on this nice pillow here, and just a nice added effect. This was the first watch that I bought out of college. I had an idea that I would look really cool interviewing for jobs, wearing brown leather cowboy boots and kind of a beige suit with a red tie and a nice blue shirt. Man, it was slick. So I decided to get a nice brown watch to go with that. And to this day, I still think it's a pretty cool idea. Defies the conventions of blue suit, browns, or blue suit, gray suit. And maybe that's not the best call, but it's what I decided to go with. Here you can see the watch. Got a nice thick wristband on it, and a nice big face. This is a 42 millimeter dial here, and at least that's what the specs say. Let's just take a quick look and just measure the diameter here, and it looks like what they're measuring is the actual case diameter, the outside edge there. What I'll say about this watch is it is sharp, it looks good. You can see that I like Luminoxes now, so I wound up getting another. But just to get an idea, I've got kind of small wrists for a dude, and just strap this thing on. You can see how this looks on my wrist. And I like that. I like the way that the face of the watch, the case, takes up a big proportion of the wrist. It's got kind of a bold look. I think that it's a beautiful watch. You can see this is what my wrists look like, about a 2.5 inch across. So this watch looks kind of monstrous on my wrists, but I don't know, I think it has a handsome kind of appearance. The ivory looks good. I think that it's got a kind of a classic gentleman's kind of look about it, while also still being rugged and kind of Indiana Jones-like. But that's just my take on it. If we go to the actual wristband, get into kind of some gripes that I have about it. Of course, since it's made of leather, and I live in Houston, Texas, we got to deal with the heat and humidity, which means it's got to deal with my body heat and sweat. Leather, of course, is going to absorb sweat, and as this thing ages, it's going to absorb and dry out, so get moist and dry, and do that in cycles until you get little cracks in it. It's of course going to have that kind of sticky feel on your wrist, and if you get a little bit hot, you're going to kind of want to take it off and dry it off, and that'll kind of make its life a little bit longer. You're not going to have as much to deal with as far as it absorbing that sweat and then getting stinky from the sweat and from the leather degrading over time. You can see this one's pretty well shot. Granted, I did get this in 2013, and it's now 2017, so it's a few years old. And I have replaced the wristbands, and that's something that I would advise that you do if you get a watch like this, or any watch that has a leather wristband, because you're going to be doing a variety of activities in these things. I wanted a watch that would stand the test of time, and I feel like that's what I got with this watch. The wristband is easily the weakest part about this. A year into owning it, I lost one of the rivets. You can see there's supposed to be a rivet there, but no biggie, it holds together just fine. Luminox, I sent them an email and they were willing to help me out with it, and then I guess I never followed through with it, but it kind of adds character to it. It lost a rivet, no big deal. What more can be said about the wristband? Brown leather, brown calf's leather wristband. Got a nice contrasting ivory stitch. It's not quite white, it's not quite yellow. It's got just a hint of off-white to it, and it looks really good. The buckle here is a double clasp with this nice knurling on the roller here, and then we have, of course, a nice stainless steel, which matches the case. All in all, very beautiful. Watch out where you're going! What's this?
No.
Stick it on there, Bubba. Yep, you gotta push down on it. Yay! I did mention that this isn't the only wristband that I've had for this watch. I've replaced it a couple times, trying to find something that I liked. Granted, I love the original. The original's awesome. I used it in a variety of circumstances, from field work outside, to work in retail, to office jobs, sweat, shooting guns, everything. And one thing that can be said about this watch is that the glass on it is actually a synthetic sapphire crystal, and even though it's 4 years old, and I've had this thing touch concrete. I never really intentionally tried to scratch it, but I also haven't babied it. So right now I'm putting the light right on there, and you can see this thing doesn't have any scratches on it after 4 years. That was the thing that I worried most about this watch. Was I bought this watch and paid $310.19 for it. That's quite a bit of change, and I worried that I was going to scratch this glass on it, and that has not been the case. That sapphire crystal is very robust, and you think, well, if it's very, very hard and thus resistant to scratching, maybe it's brittle. I'm starting to wear it on my left wrist. It's a big piece of metal. You can see it sticks up off my wrist quite a bit there, almost a centimeter, and yeah, a little over a centimeter actually. It sticks up off the wrist. I mean, so this thing effectively becomes a buckler or a shield. I'm constantly bashing it into things when I'm walking around a store or in my daily life. I never quite got used to the spatial awareness. I haven't got that spatial awareness of this thing, so it kind of protrudes, and I don't treat it like it's a part of my body, and it bashes into hard things all the time. And you can see on the case that it is got all kinds of nicks and dings and scratches, and the first time you get one, you stop worrying about them, and now they just look cool. They just give it character. There's all kinds of micro abrasions, deep scratches, and little tiny nicks out of the metal from just doing my daily work, going and shooting, doing all kinds of stuff, camping. This thing's been on quite a few little adventures with me, and it's still ticking, which you might expect from a watch that's got Swiss movement and you pay $300 for. But it doesn't disappoint in the realm of being robust. It is very robust. I was going to talk about wristbands, and I got sidetracked again. So one more thing about this wristband. This, with getting wet and getting wet and absorbing moisture, the retainer for the strap eventually kind of got messed up, and it got to where it was it's actually, when it was purchased, it was kind of like 2 or 3 layers wrapped under there and stitched or glued, and it got to the point where I would try and put this through the loop here and it would hang up, so I just kind of reached in there and tore out the remaining. That's why it's kind of big like this. I'm not worried about this. I could put a couple stitches in there and cinch that down and make that pretty again, but it does that, or it did that rather. When it sits over, it holds it pretty well, but I almost want to put like a little drop of rubber glue or silicone or something like that, so it kind of sticks and holds better. I don't have very big wrists, so this one likes to come through and wrap around a pretty good amount. But that's the original wristband. You'll see that there was some shrinkage. You can now see the bar all the way through. And part of that is from how I decide to remove the wristband. My preferred method is to just take a knife and stick the knife blade in flush with the edge of that, and then just pull on that little spring-loaded clasp. You have to be careful because you'll shoot these across the room, as I found out. Alright. Now, I've got the wristband off, and it's a pretty good time to talk about something. For a watch that you pay this much for, one small gripe that I have is that it's got kind of sharp points right here, and you only really notice it if you fold these up, and you kind of look at it from the bottom. A little bit of a point there, and these edges on the inside here are unbroken. There's been no attempt to round off this edge, so it's actually kind of a sharp edge. So you want to be careful when you're in and around other people's sensitive flesh with this watch, because it's possible that you might scratch somebody or maybe even cut them, depending upon the sample. Now this is a sample size of 1, but it is possible that edge could be fairly sharp. You can see it leaves a couple little tracks if I just barely rub that across me. Now you don't feel that at all when it's on your wrist, but it's definitely there, and you can feel it on the top side as well. So it's just a little bit of a gripe that, I mean, why is that such a hard edge? Why is that not just broken down with a really fine file, just so that you got a smooth edge there? I don't know. So you might determine that you want to do some kind of rugged athletic stuff with this thing, and you don't want to go, even though this lasted me about a year, you might not want to spend $50 or $60 or $70. I forget how much the wristbands cost to replace. They're too expensive to replace with the standard wristband, especially since it's just going to do the same thing again, and you're going to have to replace it in another year. Eventually, if I discontinue wearing this watch, or I'm planning on giving it away as kind of an heirloom. I think this is very much heirloom quality. I love this piece, and I'm going to give it away someday. It's going to be inherited by one of my loved ones, and maybe I'll include the aged wristband, the original, and then also put a brand new one on there. The watches have gone up in price. They're now $560 at Amazon.com through Luminox, so apparently they are kind of a collector's piece now, at least on some level. But you might decide you want to get a different wristband. Rubber wristbands, they're rubber, they're not fancy. It's not what I would wear to a job interview, but the sweat doesn't absorb into them, easy to wash, etc. And I'm not going to go ahead and install this all the way, but you can see it gives it kind of like a shark fin texture. This is a Timex band that I got for it. I don't remember the exact spec on how wide the wristband is. Looks like it's 24 millimeter. I find that you can use anything from 24 kind of down to 20. The original band shrunk and is more like 20 millimeters now. So you could easily use 20, 22, 24 millimeter or something that's larger. This may have been 26 when I bought it. I forget. But you can see that I've done a little bit of carving on that edge there to get this to fit just a little bit. And I'll do things like that, modify them just so they fit, and I spent $20 on a wristband instead of 50 or 60 or 70. And now we've got something that's super rugged and reliable and completely waterproof. Did I mention that this unit is waterproof down to 200 meters? So this is in fact a diving watch. Luminox makes the U.S. Navy SEALs dive watch, and those are pretty awesome. Not the style that I wanted to get for what I was doing here, but this watch, which is kind of a classy example of that, or a classy version of that, it inherits that dive capability, so you can actually go down to 200 meters with this thing. On the back here, we've got the Luminox logo. Just that minor gripe again about this is not an edge broken. You can tell this has been probably milled, a little micro mill or something of that nature. Maybe it was stamped, but it's got kind of sharp edges on the inside there. You can't feel it on your wrist, But if you take your fingernail and you go at it like this, you can kind of feel that grab. And so those are a little bit sharp, but like I said, normal use you won't feel it. But it is a really cool, good-looking logo. I like the Luminox logo. Never been really much of a logo person myself, but I don't mind something that looks like a little shield and just has something very simple and is kind of like a little icon. 200 meters water resistant, they say. It's waterproof to 200 meters. Stainless steel, anti-reflective coated sapphire crystal on the front there. Awesome. So let me show you how I'm using it currently. Alright, here's the watch in its current form. It's been replaced. The leather band, or the rubber band, has been replaced with a shark skin band. Now, shark skin or shark leather is, as you might guess, water resistant, if not waterproof. So it doesn't have the same kind of issues as calf leather would. I would say that mostly it doesn't. I'm not 100% certain if what they line the opposite side of the shark leather with is actually shark leather. It looks like a normal piece of leather, which has the same kind of issues of cracking and whatnot, but I haven't noticed any of that going on with the front of it. You can run this under your sink and take it in the shower. It won't do anything to this. I don't tend to do that, but you could. The shark leather has kind of a nice, kind of cool grain to it. I'm not sure what this cost. This was a gift, but shark leather was something I was looking into for a while, and I wound up getting that as a gift, and I think the watch looks pretty sharp like that. Kind of cool thing you can do with your watch is change out your band to kind of accessorize it to what you like. It doesn't take a whole lot of time, and there you go. What more can be said about this? Also included with your Luminox is this Luminox customer registration card, and it explains that you should call Luminox for warranty service. One caveat to that is that you should beware of something called the gray market, of which Amazon is the gray market for Luminox. So if you purchase a Luminox on the gray market, which is to say not the black market and not through a registered Luminox dealer, but from a seller on Amazon, you may not have the full warranty. I have a friend that purchased a brand new Luminox from a Amazon dealer. It was Amazon, I think Amazon fulfilled the order actually, and the watch was dead on arrival. They put in a new battery at a jeweler, and the watch still did not work, and Luminox would not warranty the watch for them. Amazon, of course, took care of it, but it's just a finer point that Luminox only gives warranty service through authorized dealers. Do with that knowledge what you will. Alright, let me show you how we're going to set this watch, because it might not be entirely obvious once you get one. So, how do we set the day and the time and the date? Day, date, time. How do I do all those things in one? Well, what you want to do is, since it's Monday the 10th, I want to set it to Sunday the 9th. So, we put our wheel in the middle position, and we spin our dial so that it is the day before Monday. That is Sunday. So, here we go. Friday, Saturday, and it just flips over. Sunday the 9th. Today is Monday the 10th, so we're going to pull our wheel all the way out. We're pretending it's Sunday the 9th, and we're just going to spin the hands of the clock past 12 and watch. Like magic, it turns to Monday the 10th. And it is Monday the 10th at 3:30. I'm sorry, Monday the 10th at 2:39. 1, 2, 30, 5, and 9. And just like that, our watch is set. And then, important part about this, to keep it that 200 meters water resistant, we need to push in all the way on this dial and then screw it in. There's a little O-ring seal in there, so it screws in, it puts tension on that O-ring, and seals it off from the elements. That's how you set your Luminox 1827 field. Fifth, the day and date function. Alright, let's talk about one more thing that's kind of an interesting caveat to this watch. You might only notice this or care about this if you work a night shift somewhere. An interesting point is that halfway through the day changing, you actually, for an hour or two, you get to see the other languages day, which might be disturbing if you're working in the middle of the night and it says die. I don't know if you can see that, but Tuesday and whatever this language is starts with a D-I-E, so it says die. In the middle of the night, your watch is telling you to die. So that might be kind of disconcerting at first. You might say, well, why is my watch taking so long to flip over? It's actually part of the normal operation of the watch, so let me go ahead and... So we're going to pretend that it's Wednesday, the 8th at 3 o'clock, and I'm going to just cycle the hours on this watch. Alright, Wednesday at 8 o'clock, Wednesday the 8th, 11, and now it's 11:30, now it's 12 a.m. on 9th. And the 9th is about to, notice how it's taken about 15 minutes for it to cycle over to the 9th, and now we're 15 minutes into that day, 9th, which should be the next day over, and it says MIT rather than the next day. So we're 1 hour in, 2 hours in, 2.5, 3 hours, and then finally it says Thursday the 9th. So that might be disturbing to you if you work a night shift, or like I was working when I first got this. I had to write Luminox a couple emails like, hey, why does the date not switch over when the day switches over? And it just has to do with the mechanics of this particular watch design. And it's actually not, unique to this watch. It'll also do it on this watch as well. But, you know, not so much of an issue unless it's going to Tuesday and then you see it tell you to die in the middle of the night in the witching hour, and freaks you out a little bit. Not really, but you know, it's just kind of a finer point. That might be kind of annoying that it's not telling you the actual date and day that it is for 2 hours of that day. It's kind of a frowny face upon the beauty that is this watch. Bo Ryan says, remember to comment, like, and subscribe. Wow, that just went flying across the room. Just be careful of that. I've got it set so that the spring tension is holding it up against the metal wall there, and we just got to guide the pin into the hole, and you'll hear it click, like so. Same thing for the other side.